Thanks for joining me for part 2 of my interview with Jesse after his 80th birthday party. My cousin Thomas Freeman, Uncle Buddy's eldest, and Anthony Freeman, Uncle Ray's youngest, joined in the discussion. After listening to the conversation, I could not help but think about how much of who we are is not only a product of our parents' genes, but also a product of the culture and times they grow up in. We began with Thomas asking a question about the 4 Freeman boys.
How did you all get be such good readers?
I read all the time. That was when I was in grade school. A little kid. They used to give us these books, and I would read the book, and then I would remember it. So when the teacher asked me to read, I always read too fast if I'm looking at the book. Mm-hmm. So I would skip things. So I remembered it and said, read such and such a thing, and I just read it from memory. And that way I didn't have that skipping, going too fast and messing up. But all of read. I must be read 1,000 books. Mm-hmm. I was looking at my Amazon account. In the last month, I was spent $70 on books.
Wow. Yeah. Did you have a lot of comic books? You had access to a lot of comic books back then? No? Or Bible books? Or
any book we got, we read. Okay. If it had words in it, we read.
Yeah. So where did the westerns come from? Because all of you boys read westerns.
Yeah.
Westerns was exciting. They depicted action. You know, you ride a horse. You're doing all these things. You got guns. You shooting people, shooting that stuff. You know, and you could be the good guy. You wear a white hat to a good guy. At that age and back then, you never really thought of the Indian was the good guy. Mm-hmm. It was always the cowboy was the good guy. The Indian never won. What? That's not because they were bad guys. The Indian was just trying to fight to keep his land that he'd been living on all the time. Mm-hmm. And the white man won't kick him off.
They were the real bad guy.
So who was the bad guy? That was the white man, the bad guy, as far as I'm concerned. The white guy might not feel like that, but he didn't tell you, come over here and take my land. You came over here with your... Did you say, have you ever guys seen that movie with Will Smith, the Man in Black? Mm-hmm. When that bug come down there? Said, who told you to come out acting big and bad and taking over everything? Mm-hmm. You know? But I don't know whether you guys ever thought about it like that, but after I grew up, I thought it was like, but back as a kid, back then, the race relations and all that stuff hadn't gotten. It had started. Your daddy didn't take nothing off of nobody.
Yeah, I heard.
Nobody. Nobody in the world.
Yeah, he didn't like being disrespected, I guess. You know.
I remember.
He didn't take those minutes.
Mama was on. Buddy did something, and Mama was a whooping. And Mama said, Mama, I'm 17, I'm 16 or 17. I said, I won't do it no more, but don't whoop me. Yeah, dip me the switch. And Buddy ran. And Mama ran. Mama ran about half a mile, and she started calling the phone, hey, hand the ball!
Help!
Hand the ball! And she said, when she got him, she said, Mama, he told her what happened. She said, okay, but I ain't gonna whoop you no more, but don't run for me. If I threaten you, I'm trying to get something out of you, not just to beat you or anything like that. Cause Mama never, I think Mama whooped me once in her whole life. We didn't get beat. The only time George got a beating was, George bad. I got a scar on my neck because we were playing Roman counters, you know. One pop, boom. You shoot a red one, a blue one come out, and we was playing in the house. Curtains on the wall, tin roof, and nothing but wood on the wall. Paper with this wallpaper with plastic on it and all that. Out. One of them Roman cows hit that. He hit me with it first in the neck, and I ran, and he threw the Roman cows down, trying to catch me to get the fire out. Started the fire in the house, burnt the house.
Oh no,
he did.
Yes, he did.
Oh no, he did.
Burnt the house down. We had to move.
And you're on the plantation at the time.
Yeah. Thompson Place.
Yeah.
We had to move to another, and that was the house we was in was a nice, comfortable house. It was high steps, and underneath the house was always dry, so you could go under the house and get these snuff bottles and make your city. That was our toy. A snuff bottle, a little brown bottle, what the people dump snuff out of. And under the house was dry and sandy. So you could make roads go this way, and you have your cars, those were your cars in these little cities. It was kind of like playing on the beach. And one day, he burned that house down, the other one didn't have that.
They know who did it? They know who burned it down?
Yeah, the house burned down on the place all the time. We lost 2 houses. Yeah, I burned one down when I was a kid, but I about 3 or 4. Got the springer broke when I was about 3 or 4 and never set right. But they just moved. Well, you can't have that one. They get the next up the house closer to where you are and just move in there.
So it was like timberwood. They just burned anything.
They could.
It's like 2x4 put together.
2x4 put together.
10. I don't even think it had any incline to it.
Some of them didn't.
Some, just flat, pretty much. Yeah.
Some to keep the rain off you and have a place to sleep.
Sitting on cinder block, right? You ever had cinder block?
Yeah. Yeah, those are some of the days when I was a kid.
So I heard that our grandmother was real tough too, and that grandfather couldn't really get away with a lot. But if some white folks did something, then grandmother would always.
Oh, nobody messed with her boys. Nobody messed with the Freeman boys. We had an overseer of the black guy's name, Jim. What was this? Jim something. Everybody just called him Mr. Jim. I forget what his last name was. But he told Mama, said, Eva, those boys don't need to work a little longer this year to get all those crops in. Mom said, my boys going to school. School started a couple of days. When school started, they will be in school. They ain't be out there working. They'll be in school. But you need to get, to get everything in. My boys are going to be in school. The crops get in good. If they don't, that's tough, but they are going to school. We didn't miss no school. Not allowed. And nowadays I talk to Tanner every day. Tanner's a good little student, but sometimes she's kind of sickly, and every little sickness, she don't want to go to school. She wants to stay at home. And Nietzsche's letting them get away with it. And she would. I finally find out, but I don't always find out about it. That's all right. That's what I just believe in it. Well, I ain't got nothing to do with it. You got something to do every day. I used to ask Randy and them when they were little, what you learned today? They might not learn nothing, but I would ask them. You let them know that, hey, you went to school, you should have learned something. Every day you should have learned something. That's my philosophy.
I used to try to fake sick, and my dad would give me he'd take out a white pad, and he'd write down 100 math problems. And he said, if you're going to be homesick, when I get home, you need to have these 100 math problems done.
You go to school.
Yeah, it better be right.
That's nothing that you want to go to school.
I used it on my boys. My boys, they said they sick. I said, all right, no problem. I said, here's a book and here's 100 math problems. You get these math problems and they better be right. And after a couple of days, a day of them being sick, I don't think any of them missed more than 5 days in their whole. They don't miss work either.
You know, it wasn't a science to it, I don't guess, but it worked. It worked. It worked.
Yeah, you guys are good role models. I mean, you really were. One thing about my dad is that, you know, being the oldest child, I guess there were pretty high expectations that, you know, you can pretty much follow in his footsteps, you know. And so I didn't have a lot of choice about the things I wanted to do. You know, I didn't have a lot of choice about the courses I was required to take, you know, any of that kind of stuff. I didn't have a lot of choice about, you know, whether or not I wanted to, you know, settle for a B or anything like that. He pushed real hard, he really did. And, you know, I resented it somewhat at the time, kind of thankful now that he did that, because he was just, I think what he was just trying to show is that, you know, he always say, you know, if you're gonna do something, you know, do it to the best of your ability. You know, do the best that you can. You know, don't settle for something less than what you have the ability to do. You know, putting that drive, instilling that drive within you to try to always just represent your family well. That was the most important thing. Don't go out and do something that would cause your family to be ashamed of what you know, of who you are, ashamed of the name. And so that's kind of what I felt David did more than anything. He wasn't an affectionate man. He wasn't a very affectionate man. I don't remember one time my daddy telling me he loved me. Not one.
He got that from his daddy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Daddy never said that.
Never said that. Yeah. And even mom, until about when she got older and we were all adults and grown, I never heard that growing up. Never did. Never heard from either one of them that they loved us. But we knew that they were proud of us. We knew they were proud of us, and you know, because of the things we did, and we felt that they loved us, you know, because of the time they spent with you. They spent a lot of time with you, you know. Probably my mom more so than Dad. Dad was a workaholic, you know. Dad was a workaholic. Dad would be at work from, you know, sun up to sundown, and he'd come home dog tired, and he didn't spend a lot of time with you, like, you know, you would spend with your son out at a baseball game, or you know, taking him, you know, to outings like that. My dad didn't do that. He wasn't there to do that. My mom certainly couldn't do it either. So you know, my social life, or my learning about things of life came from either books I read or from peers that were, you know, in many cases were pretty decent peers. I mean, I had always been kind of alone, you know, pretty much alone. You know, most kids would classify you as a nerd today. Well, I was a sporty nerd.
Mm-hmm.
I was a nerd, and since I stayed myself, I had good book sense and that kind of stuff. Did well in school, but I also was pretty good athletic. I mean, I always had pretty good hand-eye coordination, so I was pretty good in that regard. But Daddy, you know, I don't fault him, but I guess there's some things that I didn't learn about what it took to be a man. I didn't necessarily learn it from him because he was not that close. He didn't reveal that close side to him. You know, he never did.
I could say the same thing. It's funny hearing that, what you just said, because, you know, like I said, my dad would go bowling, and I said, Dad, I want to go, just so I could be with him sometime, because he'd always be out working or doing something, so I'd always say, I want to go, so he started letting me go, and I don't think it was till I came back from college. And I remember, because he would always be there, anything, you know, he'd always, like, do anything with me or for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I love you, you know. And I remember I came back from college, I said, Dad, I love you.
He looked at you like you was sick or something like that.
You know, it took a while. It took when he got sick. That's when he, you know, would say that back to me. He said, you know, I love you.
You were probably between you and Uncle George, both of y'all were kind of, you know, really kind of, I would say, more personable to us boys than our own fathers.
Mm-hmm.
You really were. I can remember my Uncle George kissing me all the time. Boy, kiss me, you know, because I never experienced that from anyone else, but he was a hugger. You know, I know he was a hugger, and you was a hugger. You know, at least you are now. I know you are now.
And you know, he loved my boy so much. I mean,
I think we're all huggers, right?
Yeah.
When you talk to like Myron will tell you, like, you know, he will bear hug somebody, like, yeah, we're huggers. We don't kiss people.
Yeah.
We'll come out and hug you to death. And so that's a certified family trait, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my proudest moments though when I was a kid was becoming an Eagle Scout. My dad didn't take time out the day to come be there for that ceremony, but my mom did, you know. So you know, it was those kind of things that I think kind of carry over with me, because I know I'm just as busy. You know, I'm just as busy nowadays. And I realized looking back that I did the same thing I saw my dad do. And I pretty much, my relationship with my children was the same way that I did that my dad had with me. And I recognize that really wasn't the best way. I recognize that I didn't give my children something when I didn't give them me, you know, as they were growing up, you know. And I just pray that they learn. I think my son has learned differently. I think he's learned differently.
I think I was there for your boy, Eagle Scout.
You were there for my Eagle Scout ceremony.
I was there for Melvin's Eagle Scout.
But we talked, you know, before about, you know, who raised us and everything else. I mean, you were always gone a lot just before the service. It was really Mom is the one that kind of did the disciplining and stuff like that, and would still use the, you know, if, you know, the nuclear options is when Dad would come home, but it never got to that.
Your mom was Tiger Mom before there was a term called Tiger Moms. She's always been a disciplinarian.
I think I said in the first podcast, one of the greatest women I ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now that we're older, she think I'm a baby. She ain't got no more babies. She tell me when to wipe my nose, and she be right. I need to do it.
I had it different being the baby of the family. I don't know. My brother and sister weren't the greatest folks. I mean, they've had tough lives, both of them.
But there was a gap between the ages between them.
The age gap.
And I used to watch it personally, being the younger one, and I'd watch them get everything, because my mother was so poor. I guess growing up, when she got a little, she wanted to give them everything. And
how many sisters and brothers? 14?
She had 16.
16.
So whenever she, you know, they wanted a new pair of shoes, she'd get them shoes. They want something, she'd always get them everything. So me being the youngest, I would always say, I don't want that. I don't need nothing. You know, I'm gonna do it myself. And it was a little different. I think that's why I kind of had a little more success than now in life. And I kind of would hang with my dad a little bit more. You know, because my mom was like, she was a putty cat. You know, she'd go get ready to spank me, and she spanked me once, and I started laughing, or I'd start crying, and then she started laughing with me, and she wouldn't do it. So she would say, wait till your dad get home, and Pops would whoop my butt. So, you know, it would be like, okay, because I was like George. I was bad.
He named after the right one.
You were right name.
Pops would come home and whoop my butt. But I loved him to death for it, because it meant he cared.
Yeah. So there was 5 of us, and we were all so close. I mean, I was 2 years ahead of Melvin, and so I always felt that, you know, I had to be the example. We were talking about this before. I always did well in school, didn't get in trouble. I always felt I had to be an example. But the other 4 of them, and then all of us, I guess, we were all so close in age. We all kind of looked out for each other and kind of set the standard for each other. And it just turned out that Marty, the youngest one, was the best athlete of the crew and everything else. I was probably I guess we could be a contest between Mel and I, which one is the lesser one. But so we set an example, and we were all so close. We kind of kept ourselves in check and had each other's back all the time. And Mom just made sure that we didn't get too far away, and we did our own thing. We had our own basketball team basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could all the
minutes.
different places that we moved.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big. We all got friends and everything else, but we were always friends with each other because we were the only people. You would move to another place; those are the only people to start out with, anyway. So we always so it was a little bit different at us in terms of kind of staying together. I think things probably changed a little bit when you retired. We retired here in this area. My senior year in high school was the only year we lived here. And then I went away for college.
Wow.
So I went away to Drexel after that. And everyone else kind of grew up, went through the high school here in Maryland. So it's a little bit different. But that kind of kept us, at least for me, it was a different experience where I was always being the example till I had to leave. And we all kind of kept each other together.
If you hadn't become a Boy Eagle Scout, Melvin never would have.
Right. Right. And I just had people that would encourage me to do it. I became an Eagle Scout and everything else, and Mel stuck with it to try to make sure that he went through and got it. Marty got too involved in sports.
Marty got too involved in doing sports. Myron just didn't like me.
He didn't like
Scout. It's funny, he's the one with the military.
It's funny.
And that was the scariest thing in my life. Myron weighed about 156 or something like that when he got out of high school. Just a skinny kid.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have a lot of. He could play a little basketball and he practiced little sports. Didn't know how to swim hardly. And I know how hard basic was for me when I went in at 176, and he's going to academy, which is going to be harder than regular basic, right? So I was scared. I was really scared.
Yeah. And you guys were always my heroes from across the country.
Yeah? How's
From
that?
across the country.
He was a little younger.
Because my dad used to always talk about you guys. And I remember one time we all went to Alcorn. And I was Alcorn. And you guys all got to play, and I was the little guy, and I'd be watching all you guys, and I'd be like, I want to be with my cousins. I want to be with my cousins.
Boy, we were competitive.
This is competitive.
Man, yes, it was.
And then when I was growing up, I hear, Junior's like straight A student, and I said, I'm gonna be a straight A student. And I hear Randy's going to Drexel. And I'd be like, I'm going to college. I'm going to go to a private school, too. And I'd always think that. So I picked Stanford and UOP when I was a kid. I said, I'm going to get into Stanford or UOP. And then there was Marty. And my dad would say, oh, Marty's the best baseball player. You and Marty are the best baseball players. And I'd be like, okay, I got to keep up. If Marty's going to get drafted, I'm going to get drafted.
I'll tell you.
And it was like, it was always like that competition. I always wanted to be with Marty. I don't know. When I was a kid, I always like said, Dad, can I go back east and be with Marty? But then baseball season would start or football would start, so I could never go. So it was like, it was different, being so far away. And always wanted to be with your cousins, but never really being able to. And then I bragged on Gloria and Linda so many times, I can't even tell you.
I still brag.
How good they were. They were good.
It was.
I tell people all the time, I had 3 nieces that played for Jackson State. I guess they call it Jackson State, right?
Mm-hmm. They call it the still do.
And I told them, I said, they was the best basketball player that school saw.
They was good.
Yeah.
They were very good. Very good.
Still don't know which one was the best. I think Linda was probably the best.
Nah, Gloria's the best.
You think Gloria's the best?
I know Gloria's the best. Yeah. Gloria's, if they had a professional team if they had one, she would have made the team. She would have made that team. Yeah, but they didn't have women's professional sports at the time.
She was just driven.
Yeah, she's good, very good.
But Linda's granddaughter is pretty good too, isn't she?
Yeah, she's all right. Attitude's her problem.
Attitude.
Yeah. Big
What
time.
was she, 15 now?
And she's 15. Yeah, she's 15. Yeah. She's in Houston now with Carrie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, she is.
Yeah, they didn't care for the school she's in, so they Carrie said she would take her, so then she would finish up high school.
So I thought that shit. I kept seeing pictures of her
that's so too.
Yeah, the other girl, I can't remember her name right now. Yeah.
What about the little boy?
He did. Yeah, he ain't little though.
No,
He's
Chris
huge,
is big.
Boy,
Now.
yeah, big as a dad almost. That's a big dude. Yeah, he's huge.
He's still playing football?
Yeah, he's playing.
Oh, yeah, his
But
dad.
no, his dad's not playing.
Dad's not playing.
Yeah, but his
No,
son.
I mean Linda's grandson.
He's
The
still
tough little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's still playing. Yeah.
Well, he's what, 12?
No,
11,
he
12.
might be 12. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, he's about 12.
We an athletic family
Yeah,
and
yeah.
smart.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I always thought it was interesting that somehow your dad was doing accounting and somehow ended up doing computers, and then Buddy ended up doing pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're talking now in the 60s, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the dawn of computers in and of themselves. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that was really cutting edge in it, and when you think about it.
Yep. A black man, computer programmer, like you said, was using holler cards,
Yeah,
and programming, really some really basic rudimentary programming language compared to today. But yeah, my dad was in charge of payroll for the university. He used to run payroll from the computer, print checks and yeah, I still today don't know how that happened because he started off as a math teacher. He was he was very good in math, and that's what he taught in college. And so how he went from that to computers and then being in charge of
The whole computer center.
yeah, the whole computer
Southern
center.
University.
Yeah, I couldn't. I never got that story out of him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear that. So I started, because I first learned computers, I guess, my senior year in high school, and so we were still doing punch cards then. And the most common applications is still like accounting kinds of things, actuary, lots of things, the numbers, that kind of stuff. But as I went into the profession, I found that there were lots of people came from lots of different backgrounds, psychology majors, art majors, people and everything else. It was really more that aptitude for the ones and zeros and just the way programming works that attracted people. And because there was never really, not so much as a discipline, or you still didn't quite go to college for a programmer then. There were computer scientists, people that were working on the idea of the computers, but those are really electrical engineers mostly. But just to fall in and start doing it, I found that in my first part of my career, I had a number of people I worked to that were psychology majors, of all things, that went into it. It was about having the aptitude for it. And if you had the aptitude for doing programming, that was a new thing. It was a novel thing. It's something that it's not as hard as people think. To think that way. It's a little bit, it's a little bit more math. It's some math, but it's not all math, and it's a little bit more about logic and thinking about things out. And you don't have to be taught that at an early age. You can learn that at pretty much any age, and you feel good if you have the aptitude for it and you like it. Then there's a whole other world that opens up for them. And so it's a fun and interesting day. The kids still go to college to learn it, and I talk to the new kids, and most of them really, it's not learning. You just have the aptitude and you do it, and it's just about how many different other things I can be exposed to.
I think it would be interesting if we could track our lineage all the way back to Africa from way back in time. And,
I had started that, but I tell you, I couldn't keep it up.
It's tough.
It takes a lot of time. It really does take a lot of time. You almost have to make that your full-time kind of thing that you're doing it. And you're not working.
Exactly.
It's not something to do part-time. You got to devote some time to it. And I think we have some folks on I want to say Wallace that have done probably some work in that. I guess you guys talked about that already.
Well, no, that's something that I wanted to talk about, or that I hadn't talked about before. The whole family name thing and the heritage. Because I don't know if you guys remember this or not, when Granddaddy died, for us, right, Jesse's children, that was the first time that we heard that his name wasn't, Macaulay. That wasn't Freeman.
Macaulay.
That, I guess we had kind of talked about it. We always wondered, how could there only be his dad's brothers, the only Freemans that we know in the entire family, in the entire lineage. And I thought at the time you were telling me the story about you spent some time with him trying to go into the courthouse and having something cleared up.
In his Social Security card.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember.
At the time.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Because
you got some of it, Dom, because I came home and I had to take him down in Arkansas to not Mariana.
Yeah, Mariana.
To get some paperwork done. And that's what, cause he needed those papers in order to get they call it old age pension back then, which is actually social. They didn't pay into Social Security, but they was able to get money out of old age, some of that Social Security now. I guess that's probably been going out for the last. This was in the '60s. So.
Yeah. So what would help there though is the kind of understand how the family moved around. I know that there are some Macaulays in the Mariana area. I guess Macaulay's out in California. Macaulay's out in California.
I know my Uncle Marcelo. He was telling me. I guess I got Oklahoma and Arkansas mixed up.
Yeah.
Well, it was some in Oklahoma too.
Some in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
because that's what
Daddy's
sister ain't Cleveland in Oklahoma.
Cleveland's in Oklahoma.
Yeah, because I don't know if he was in Oklahoma or Arkansas, but Uncle Marcelo said that he had got some land and he had grown his crops. And the first year that some white people came and they took his crops and they cheated him. They cheated him with the counting of his crops. And then the next year he really started learning math. And that's where he focused on math. And he said that my boys are going to know math, as he grew up. And I don't know if my dad was born then and he was married at the time yet. But the next year he grew the crops and the white men came and they tried to take his crops again. And he said, according to Uncle Marcelo, he said, the white man told him that there ain't nothing a nigga can grow that I can't take. And he said, he went, and then he said, okay, and he said, well, let me go get something. And he went into his cabinet, came out and took him out. And that's when he left. And then he went over to Mississippi, and that's when he changed his name to Freeman. And he couldn't go by Macaulay no more, according to Uncle Marcelo. So it makes a lot of sense. And I know back in the 20s through 20, I've been studying a lot of that time movement. When Woodrow Wilson and all them were in office, a lot of that was going on. And a lot of brothers was leaving. So, to me, it just makes a lot of sense. And that's exactly what Uncle Marcelo told me. And he told one of my other cousins the same thing.
That's what I heard too.
So this is like 1925, maybe, 22?
Ray was born in 1929.
29, okay.
So he didn't just come across the river and see Mom and Mary.
No.
I'm not sure what their wedding date is. But it had to be around 25, 26, somewhere. And at least, you meet a girl, you don't just hop up and say, I'm married. And you just come across the river. You got to get some established. So he had some kind of working relationship before 1929. I think at least 4 years. And as I was telling Randy, I used my computer date just to try to remind myself of how old my daddy was. And I started to use Willie 98, and I messed it up. And the first time I put it in, I put it as 89 because it was easy to get to. So now I just use 1989. So that would have put him in 25, about almost 30. And that's about the right time for that thing. So, yeah, in the 20s, a lot of stuff was going on.
Yeah, you guys spent a lot of time up in Arkansas, Mariana. I mean, I took a day up there, and you learn quite a bit. But
Well, they used at the film. You remember, it was some people that came up in a Volvo, a white Volvo, or gray, it might be silver, but they never came into church, and they real light skinned. Those were some of them. A lot of them were past. There was one family, because we used to go over there, we'll go see Uncle Ed, which was one of his brothers.
Uncle Ed, and that's a lot of his family.
And a lot of his family there, and there was some old cousins and stuff over there that we would visit. But I was so young, I can't remember all their names.
Uncle Marcelo was really light skinned.
Yeah.
He was really fair.
I mean, and a lot of those cousins are passing as white. A lot of them. And that's why they didn't come to the church.
And when I did a DNA test, we had some white in our lineage.
What else you had? You know,
An Indian and African.
Yeah.
Primarily African.
They couldn't tell what type of Indian we could tell the type.
They couldn't tell. But I know we have Indian on my mother's side. We have real strong Indian on my mother's side. So I don't know if that was part of it.
Part of that.
Well, Macaulay isn't a common.
It sure isn't.
Well, it's funny. My wife Pamela, her parents' side of the family, their name McKelvey.
McKelvey.
But there was a large migration of people from Scotland and Ireland at one point that settled in Tennessee, Kentucky, kind of area around the turn of the century, and so there was a large history of black people with, Irish, Scottish names from that region because of that relationship and whatnot. So if that was the case, I mean, there's got to be some blood there as well from that. But I guess we don't know anybody farther enough to figure out to go back that far, right?
No, I think furthest I can remember was Thomas Macaulay, but I never forget any documentation of Thomas Macaulay. That was
that was one of Daddy's brothers.
That was what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what Buddy got his name from.
Okay.
No, Daddy got his name from his Uncle Thomas. But see, I never knew the last name was Macaulay. I just knew that was his uncle. I didn't understand the relationship of the name change. Because I never really, all I knew was Uncle Ed when I went over there. I didn't know what Ed Macaulay.
So what was your daddy's name? You never knew.
I never know.
Never knew, or mama's name. Okay. For some reason I thought that was Thomas.
Now Thomas was his brother.
Was his brother.
Yeah.
And I think his real name was Otis. And I think he was Otis Macaulay.
Well, not Daddy was Otis.
Mm-hmm.
That's his nickname. I always thought it was a nickname. But that must have been his real name.
That was his
Because
real name.
everybody that knew him, as
his
relatives,
real name.
would call him Uncle Otis. They never called him Uncle Willie. He was Uncle Otis.
So he was something that went from Otis Macaulay to Willie Freeman.
He went to Willie Freeman.
To hide him.
To hide himself. And once they established that in Mississippi, what's your name? You went down on the rolls as Willie Freeman. And later on, when he's trying to get old age pension, he had to go back to try to find some paperwork or where he was actually from to establish, because there wasn't no records of Willie Freeman anyway.
So they kept land records?
They kept land records and stuff.
Okay.
Land records of people's names.
Of people, this farm had so many people named this on it.
That's source.
That had to be registered in the county courthouse, and that's how we're going to come in to go to the courthouse.
Hoping it had been destroyed, but yeah, you're right. Yeah.
A lot of it probably destroyed.
Well, there's always a fire or something that takes out a lot.
That used to happen on those, a lot of fires.
I know me and Vivian went down to the Louisiana records, and she found a lot of history from her family in the Louisiana records.
It's stuff there, but we just how do you find it for sure? You know.
How do you find it? That's the question.
So what's the relationship between the Arkansas Macaulays that you know and the ones in California? Marcellus and
Well, like Miss Willis is a first cousin. Marcello, I think was another first cousin because he knew my grandfather well, and that's why my father and him supposedly were so close.
mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, I would go out there and visit Ray, and
That's my buddy too.
he would, we would go over and
Hey,
visit
Joe.
myself. But he never, I knew it was some
No, I'm in
relation to
Boston.
Daddy, but I didn't know
How they
exactly
do?
what relation.
Yeah, I'm in Boston.
And Ray knew, but he never really told me. And I was, I wasn't thinking about family history and stuff. But I should have been. Pay more attention to what was going on.
You know, one of our cousins in California, though, he has some information. And I was going to, after we started talking, I thought,
Mhm.
I got to get in touch with him because I sat with him 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They had a big party and everybody was out at the party. And him and Uncle Marcelo were really close. So I bet he has a lot of information. I'm going to try to get back in touch
more
with him.
about the relationship between Thomas or Otis.
Yeah,
We
it's
can make
mis-
that connection out in California because
Yeah.
you said your dad when they were in New York and then they moved to California and there was family there.
Yeah,
They stayed with family.
yeah, because his brother, Miss Willis's oldest son, and he lived with Uncle Marcelo. So they talked all the time because his father was really mean.
What was there was a lady too. What was the name? In California. Marcellus and I can't think the name thing on that.
Thelma,
Not them.
it was Marcelo's wife.
She was his cousin or sister or something.
No, Miss Willis.
That's her first name?
I'm trying to remember her first name. I just called her Miss Willis. I
Because
can't
that's what
think of her first
the
name.
Willis was married.
Yeah, that's her married name.
Like the Wallace is a married name,
Yeah, that was the married name.
but Datsy was Daddy's. See, I never knew where. I knew Datsy was somebody. I never knew exactly was she was his first cousin, or whether he was her aunt. Well, he was, but she never called him Uncle Otis.
Mm-hmm. She called him Otis.
She called him Otis.
So, they
Yeah,
his sister.
And Lil Clee might probably remember that more. I call her Lil Clee. Clee Bester, Edie's, Ed Wallace's daughter. They down in right outside of Memphis down now. They moved from Detroit, but she left and moved with Datsy, moved to Helena before she finished high school. And then she moved up to Detroit, and after Edie died, you remember? Do you probably remember Edie? Gladys had a picture of Edie on my Facebook this morning, and as you look at him, he look almost like that.
And then
But
you
he's
just said
not.
the
He's a
name.
Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
And you just said the name Clevester. That's what they call Uncle Marcelo, is Clevester. They call him Clevester.
Let me see.
All these connections.
There's a lot of connections. You gotta write them down, man.
We have
Yeah.
Macaulay. We got Macaulay, Willis, Freeman, and Wallace. Between those four names. So some marriages went in there to get all those names. Dad had changed his, but the Willis and Wallace had to marry a Macaulay, a girl Macaulay, which would be Aunt. But Aunt Clea is the only woman that I really know.
That
The
was-
show is
was
Dad's
the
sister.
sister. Yeah, that's the only one I know too. I frankly I didn't know any of them had any brothers. I just knew that those two.
Yeah, I know.
So that's why I think when you said Thomas Macaulay, that was
Right.
actually before.
Before you're probably right.
I thought there was only those two.
That's
those
the
two
only two.
siblings. Was
But then we know Uncle Ed was his brother.
no, I think it was Thomas, Ed, and some other. Well, in that generation is what I'm thinking. It may wrote it down. I have to go back and take a look. I wrote it down from what I understood it to be, but I have to go back and take a look at it. But for some reason, I thought there were only 2 siblings.
But I know he was. We would go to Uncle Ed, and we always called him Uncle Ed.
Yeah.
And we'd drive from all. Look like it took forever to go from Mississippi to Maryland, Arkansas. You had to drive over, get on the boat, get off the boat, go on these old slow country roads.
It ain't much
stuff.
better now, to tell you the truth. I mean, I've been up there. It's not much better now.
But it'll be all day long. We get there, and we'll be there an hour, and Dad and him start arguing. And we had to get in the car and come all the way back. I mean, every year he did that.
This was who that? With
Uncle Ed.
Yeah.
And that's
Marianna.
Marianna,
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
And, you know, Mama Aunt Mary was from that area of Arkansas. But Mama wasn't from that area.
I don't, yeah.
Where was she from? So her sister was from that area in Arkansas?
Yeah, I don't know for what she got there about marriage or not. But she married some guy named Jackson. And then she married again named Pasley.
Do you know what your mother's maiden name was?
Brown.
Yeah, Brown.
Brown. Yeah, Brown.
But I don't know how to find that. I got something. I got a letter at home. I got to find that letter. It was of a family reunion back in the 50s.
You gotta find that one. That's probably got something.
And I was trying to figure out the McCraw, but it wasn't saying McCully, it was spelling it McCrawley. It had an A in it.
Yeah.
See, I thought it had a W in it, though.
McCauley.
That's,
Or maybe even Lay.
I gotta find that letter.
that's how I remember it too.
I'll search. We've been going through some old stuff, so I'm gonna search.
How did you spell that again? NCC?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go look through all those stuff too.
Yeah, look through your daddy's old stuff.
AULY?
It might be some, there's some
L-E-Y?
pictures.
Yeah, L-E-Y.
Yeah, I'm gonna look
But at least I'm glad I got the Freeman family. I know
about that one.
I know about
We
that.
can count forward now.
Yeah.
We can count
forward.
forward.
Yeah.
And y'all know you had Eva and Willie.
Yeah.
Y'all grandparents.
Something like that.
So there you have it. My real surname should be Macaulay. My grandfather, Otis Macaulay, moved from Arkansas to Mississippi, changed his name to Willie Freeman, and married Eva Brown. I have distant relatives named Macaulay, Willis, and Wallace, but I've only met a few of them. By the way, I was probably mistaken when I intimated that the Macaulay name might trace back to the Scottish-Irish migration to America during the early mid-1700s, who eventually settled in North Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky. More research indicates that the more likely scenario would be the enslavement of the Scottish-Irish starting around the mid-1600s. This sent thousands of men and mostly women and children to America, to the South, and to the West Indies. It was common practice during this time to mate Irish women with African men, and just as common for the offspring to adopt the surname of the mother. Perhaps this explains why some of the relatives Jesse mentioned at Otis's funeral passed. On a lighter note, my research also turned up a bit of trivia, and it's about Rosa Parks, the icon of the civil rights movement. Rosa Parks' maiden name was Macaulay. She was born in Tuskegee, Alabama. No relation as far as I know.